I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not the one who does not feel afraid, but the one who conquers that fear. The Towering Corporation has instilled into society that without their robots, chaos will overtake the utopian society with endless waves of invisible monsters only to be seen by an exceptional few. Exceptional is a third-person 2.5D suspense thriller RPG where a little child by the name of Alex awakes one night hearing arguments. Quietly sneaking down to see what's going on, Alex is peering through the banister watching the verbal fight happen. Alex's mom walks out of view and Alex's father is left sitting on the couch with his head in his hands, saying, "No, I don't want to send my precious Alex to the tower. It's not that time yet." Alex is filled with fear and has heard enough and decides to run away. Past rumors and stories fill the mind of Alex. As Alex returns to the bedroom, a subconscious personality known as Dino comes to life and thus begins a tutorial of what the player will be able to do as Alex. First, Dino will show the player how to calm Alex's fear down in order to have better movements. Next, Dino will show Alex how the backpack works, the inventory system. The only items that Alex will have in the backpack to start off the game will be a flashlight, batteries, and water for health, and the mask that is worn out in public, and scissors for defense. These tools will help Alex. The player will attempt to uncover the secrets of the tower through exploration and puzzle and riddle solving, all while avoiding anything that may capture the player. While certain elements of the game may allow the player to disable enemies in certain encounters by having a child represent the main player, the battle system will be limited, thus forcing the player to rely on their wits rather than their strength, much like a child trying to escape and survive. Alex leaves her house and begins her horrible adventure. The team can take advantage of saturated hue palettes, gray tones, and washed out color layering that will support identifiable, mysterious atmosphere elements, believable, exaggerated objects, and visually stunning depth placement for a 2.5 dimension game. Key layout elements will be blurred forefront objects obstructing field of view, unfocused background for relevant distances, an identifiable, sharp, clear, outlined illustrated player layer between forefront and background. Other layout elements will be when to introduce color palettes from gray tone or chromatic color palettes appropriately throughout the movement of the player in the game. The game's branching storyline again provides us with multiple different playthroughs and different endings. 2 of those potential endings have been laid out before you to give you a good idea of how the player will make decisions and interact with the objects and people in the game. Alex ends up at the tower's command center, face to face with the leader of the tower. This man seems to be wealthier than others around town. He's wearing a nice black suit and walking with a diamond-tipped cane. The truth is revealed to Alex. The handyman aren't trying to kill her, but in fact trying to transport the young, unfortunate soul to the top of the tower for integration. The head of the corporation explains the dire need for Alex's gift. He reveals that the monsters are in fact real, and that the handyman cannot successfully fight them off any longer, for the last of the previous exceptionals they have tried to integrate have died off simply because their bodies could not take the integration process. The decision is a hard one, but Alex knows what lurks out there and she doesn't want people to have to suffer just because she was selfish. Alex steps forward towards the man and he holds out a hand for her. She hesitantly grabs it and the man leads them into a large glass elevator overlooking the entire city. Once they reach the top, they step out of the elevator into a bright room filled with men and women in lab coats. A large metal chair sits coldly in the center of the room. Alex hands the man the dino and walks to the metal chair. From here, the game would move into a cutscene. The doctor would inject Alex and put her to sleep, and the screen would fade to black. The next thing the player would see would be the eyes of a robot following 3 guards down a sidewalk. The guards stop in front of a familiar-looking door and knock on it. The door opens and 2 distraught-looking adults peer through their masks from within. One of the men hands the adults a sheet of paper, and another motions to the robot that Alex is seeing through. The adults begin to cry and read. As they look up at the robot, Alex recognizes these two as her parents, and the color begins to radiate from around them. They take the dino, thank the men, and return inside once more. Alex swears she saw their real faces through the masks, but wasn't really sure. At this point, the cutscene again fades to black, and Alex's vision would fade once and again, being restored and tossed from robot to robot, seeing everything from city streets to outer wall, to serene forests, to monsters attacking civilians. She is the one controlling the robots, fighting them all off, trying to keep the people calm. The other player decision begins when Alex ends up in the tower command center face to face with the leader of the tower, and he's explaining the integration process. As the mysterious man starts to explain the process of integration, he notices Alex's hesitation and presses a red button on his desk. Hurriedly, men in white doctor's coats walk in through the door and assemble behind Alex. A doctor pulls out a syringe and squirts the chemical into the air to test functionality. Dino gives Alex the idea to cut the red cord of one of the handymen standing close by. She cuts the wire with haste as the handyman begins to short circuit and freak out. Alex uses the confusion to run. She sees the mysterious man gasp and hide behind his big, bulky white desk, while the doctors drop what little they have and scream in terror. Alex gets frightened and decides to hide in a safe, secure place nearby. As soon as Alex reaches a safe spot, the handyman that was snipped explodes catastrophically, finishing off the nearby handymen and doctors. She peeks her head out and notices that the place is on fire. The doctors and the handyman are lying lifeless on the floor, and the mysterious man is nowhere to be found. The ceiling starts to collapse, and Alex knows that she must flee. Alex finds her way out of the burning inferno by crawling through the gas-filled air vents and hurtling over fuel-induced flame. After Alex makes it out of the blazing inferno, she runs for the woods. Without the tower to guide them, the handymen revert to the number one function that they were built for: destroy. Alex chokes down what fear she has and sprints away from the streets. Armed only with a flashlight, scissors, and an imaginary friend, young Alex traverses the silent, cold, dark woods. Every bit of sound drifts away as Alex moves forward. Suddenly, out of the bushes, Alex hears a noise. As she looks over in shock, she sees the shadow of what looks like a beast, a monster. When all hope seems to be lost, gunshots ring out, and the war cry of men follow. Out of the darkness, men with guns and torches rush, fighting and killing the monsters. After the final monster goes down, the leader of the group of men turns to Alex. As they walk toward Alex, the leader slowly takes off her headgear, revealing that the leader is in fact Alex's mother. Reassuring Alex that everything will be all right, she takes Alex to their forest dwelling, where Alex asks, "Mom, who are these people?" She responds, "We are the others. We are the exceptional." At this point, the sun begins to rise, and the black, white, and pastel colors brighten slightly with the use of chromatics to a more encouraging color palette, reassuring the player and giving them hope.